Abby Theodros here at the WBTV News Now desk on this final day of 2021. And right now we want to do a year in review with the Humane Society of Charlotte. Emily Cook will be joining me in just a moment for this conversation. But first, I want to walk you through what we're doing here. So if you watch the noon broadcast on Wednesdays, then you know that we have Pet of the Week. And it's where we introduce you to one of the pets at the Humane Society of Charlotte, and we have this live in-studio conversation about that pet, and many of them get adopted out, like Toad.
You've been doing your broadcast, but we are excited to introduce you to Toad here. Kelly Rosinski, it's great to have you on for Pet of the Week.
Thank you.
Introduce us to Toad.
Yeah, this is Toad. He is a 7-year-old mixed breed. He came to us from one of our partner shelters.
So many happy endings come out of our Pet of the Weeks. So Emily Cook is going to be walking us through this conversation about where these pets are now, the ones that have visited us in studio. I know we can't get to all of them because we've had about 50 of them, Emily, but let's start off with Toad. How's Toad doing and where is he now?
Hey, Toad is doing great. So he is still in his home. He was adopted out, I believe it was in November of this year. So not too terribly long ago, but we check in with our adopters shortly after adoption, a few weeks in, make sure everybody's doing great. And as far as we know, Toad is doing well. So right now we just hope he comes to visit.
I know. Okay, so you were kind enough to share this picture of Toad, so I want to pull it up. We ran that clip from his visit to the studio, and even though he's an older dog, certainly a young spirit, he was making a lot of noise in the studio and was really a joy. So I'm so happy to hear from you that he is still with his family, because I know in a lot of cases sometimes they may not be compatible and they are returned to the shelter.
Sure, it does happen. You know, we do have animals that come back to us. They are returned. We do have an owner surrender and a rehoming process, but thankfully at the Humane Society of Charlotte, the percentage of animals that come back to us is very low. And always we have an open door policy with animals that we have rehomed from our shelter. We understand that things don't always work out the way that people want it to, and that's okay. Well, there's another home out there for an animal, and they're going to be loved, and we're going to help them find that place, and everything's going to be okay.
All right, we do have a number of other pictures of some of our special guests. I want to pull up Rupee here. And is he with volunteers, or is this his new family?
Yeah, occasionally if we're not too busy, if there's not a ton of people in the lobby, we're able to sneak out and get a going home picture. So our customer service staff grabbed an awesome picture of her with her new family as they were heading home.
I love this picture. They all look so happy. And the good news here is that Rupee is still with the family, so we love to hear that. Pull up this picture of Chantrell, also adopted out. So how is she doing?
Chantrell, she was a sweetheart. She was one of the, not that we have favorites, of course, but she was one of our staff favorites earlier this year. So she's doing great. We had a fun quote from her family saying that she came in and made herself at home immediately, which is obviously always what we want. But she was no stranger to her new family and settled in apparently quite quickly. So they're doing great.
Fantastic. I am pulling up Miss Ophelia. I believe this was a special guest during the month of, okay, so adopted in November, but I want to say based off of the Superman getup, Superwoman, excuse me, may have been a Halloween visit. Is that right?
Oh, I think so. It seems like she was kind of feeling her Superwoman outfits, and she let us put it on her. But yeah, so she was a Halloween visit, dressed up in her Superwoman outfit, and just like the Superwoman she is. And from her family, we found out that her favorite place was the couch in their apartment, and she walked in, immediately got on the couch, and apparently that's where she has remained.
Okay, living her best life. Can't fault her on that. Okay, I do want to bring up this picture. You may recall, this is Kine, and Kine visited our studio but was so adorable, did not make it out without getting adopted by our producer, who was actually producing that noon broadcast that day.
It happens. It happens. We bring these guys in, and they're just so cute that people can't stand it.
Let's see this puppy here. This is Hooch, who is actually our final pet of the week, because we weren't able to get together on Wednesday. I know that we had some news that we were covering and couldn't do a pet day in studio, so I want to pull up this picture you've shared with us. And you said Hooch is quite the helper at the shelter.
He is indeed. As you see, he is a master of the swivel stool. So when he is in our veterinary treatment room, he really likes to act as management and supervise all things going on. So I think in this picture, he was supervising an ear cytology, which basically means they're just testing, making sure that animals' ears are healthy. And then we have another picture, which I wasn't able to send over, but of him up on the sink, clearly supervising the washing and sanitizing of instruments. So, we may have a new veterinary tech in Hooch here.
I want to pull up some more pictures of Hooch. Oh, his sweet eye. So he's missing an eye. What's the story there?
He is missing an eye. We're not entirely sure he came to us like that, so we have just done our best to make sure that area has remained healthy and the skin is healing well. It was a recent surgery when he arrived to us, so we're not entirely sure the reason of why it was removed. We imagine it was some sort of infection of some sort. That's typically the reason why an eye is removed. But as you can see,